Welcome back to Ultra. Today we're going to be taking an audio file, chopping it into cycles, and creating a wavetable using the automatic import system. I'll show you how to import analog synths, vocals, basses, pianos, and even some crazy results which you can get by using the wrong settings. So let's dive right in. To start an import, click the menu below the UltraWave screen. Or you can drag files onto the screen. This page lets you choose where you want the audio to go and the import method. We're going to create a new patch and choose Automatic Import. The first page lets you choose the section of your audio that you want to import. Typically, you want to trim any silence and unwanted noise out of your imported sound. This sound has some noise at the end that we want to get rid of. You can adjust this noise threshold slider. The threshold is indicated by these green lines, so everything quieter than the green lines will be excluded. The blue box shows you the current selection. You can also select an area manually and hit Remove to crop it, or click Add to extend the selection. This looks okay, so click Done and you end up on the Import Settings page. When you arrive here, the audio file will have already been imported, and you can play the UltraWave using your MIDI keyboard. At the top is the original audio file. At the bottom is the imported version in the UltraWave engine. Our goal on this page is to make sure that the imported version sounds as close as possible to the original sound. If not, you can adjust the settings and improve the import. On the top graph, you can see these blue boxes, which are the wavetable cycles that the import has chosen. Just a quick reminder of how wavetables work. You have these small audio samples representing cycles, and when you're playing a note, the engine will play back these cycles, recreating the sound. When the playhead is in between two wavetable cycles, it will crossfade and create a blended cycle. You can see here that the blend doesn't match the original sound 100%, but it's close. As a rule of thumb, the less cycles you use, the smoother the result, but the less it will match the original sound. When you run an automatic import, the sound will be analyzed and an import preset will be chosen for you. That's the main focus of this page. You can always change the chosen preset to see how it sounds. There are 5 types of preset. Let's go over each of these in more detail. Variable pitch mode is best for sounds that have a pitch bend on a single sustaining note. To me. In this mode, it can create an attack sample. When you play a note, the attack sample will play back first, and then the wavetable body will begin. Turning off the attack will remove it and stop attacks from being automatically created. The beginning of the sound will use wavetable cycles instead. Variable pitch will also create a pitch curve, which will control the pitch during playback. Multi-pitch mode is for sounds that have more than one note, separated by silence or noise. If you disable the pitch curve, it will be removed and no further pitch curves will be automatically created. Single pitch simple mode will turn the pitch curve off. It's going to try and create cycles that match the pitch of the root note of your sound. They will all be pretty similar in length. It's best for sounds that have consistent repeating cycles, such as basses or analog synths. If your sound has cycles like this, it's going to import really well in this mode. The single pitch complex mode is for sounds that have a lot of cycle variation. Examples include sounds with heavy reverb or multiple strings, notes, or voices. If you see a lot of cycles right next to each other that are not very similar, chances are they won't blend easily during playback. Recreating these sounds with wavetables is difficult, which is where the complex algorithm comes in. It will restrict the number of cycles and try to smooth out the sound. Here's a low piano using one of the other algorithms. The complex mode will reduce the number of cycles, which gives it a long time to make this crossfade. And that's a lot smoother. Now, you're not going to be able to perfectly recreate a piano using a wavetable. A piano has multiple strings and a resonating body, and there's just too much happening to model it using cycles. But you can certainly capture the vibe of it. And being an UltraWave, you're going to be able to do interesting stuff to it, such as warp it, which you can't do with a sampler. If a perfect recreation of a piano is your goal, you're better off reaching for the sampler oscillator. Some sounds are not really suited to wavetable playback, as they don't have any repeating cycle content. You might not be able to recreate these samples accurately, but you can still get interesting wavetables from them by being selective about the cycles that you choose. If all else fails, try using the manual import to select the exact cycles you want. Kick drum mode should be self-explanatory. When you're in this mode, it will treat every pair of zero crossings as a cycle, and it will capture the entire pitch curve of the kick drum. This is great for creating your own kicks by warping or replacing the cycles. It will also put the kick on the correct root note, so you can play the note that matches the key of your track if that's something you like to do. At the top right are a couple of functions that will apply to the selected area of your sound. Clear cycles does what it says. As for trim sound, it will take the selected area and re-import the sound with the start and end cropped. When the sound is scanned, it detects the pitch. It's going to get this right most of the time, but if you see cycles like this, that have multiple cycles inside the blue box, that's a sign it might be using the wrong pitch. To fix this, you can listen to the original sound and choose the matching pitch using this keyboard. A more visual way to do it is to click this Edit button. Drag the screen to select a cycle, and then click Apply to set the correct pitch. That covers the controls for the standard edit mode. If you want more control, you can flick over to the Advanced mode, which will let you access all of the settings that are being applied behind the scenes when you change preset. First, you have the Cycle Grid section. This lets you change how the cycle grid is split up. Steady pitch, variable pitch, and multiple notes we've discussed. No pitch is the mode that the kick drum uses, where every pair of zero crossings is considered to be a cycle. Feel free to experiment with these settings. Here, I've applied no pitch mode to a bass, which has produced a really interesting result. Down here is a switch for changing the leading edge. So these cycles are being cut when the waveform crosses into the positive territory, crosses zero, and heads up. If you switch this, it will split cycles as the waveform heads down. For some sounds, it can work a lot better to cut the cycles at the opposite leading edge. Here's an example of a 303, which looks like it's crossing zero in the middle of a cycle. There's no guarantee that over the course of this sound, the zero crossing is going to stay consistently in the middle. It looks like it would be better to chop the cycles here, where the waveforms go vertical. If the cycles are chopped with the wrong leading edge, you can hear glitches. If the cycles are chopped on the other leading edge, it can sound better. If you're not in advanced mode, the leading edge is detected and the correct one is chosen for you. Moving on to the body cycle section, you've got 3 different algorithms. Adaptive will choose the best cycles as determined by the engine. Or you can choose the loudest cycles. In this case, it's going to choose all the ones at the start. Evenly spaced will distribute the cycles between the start and the tail. The tail noise threshold is something you can adjust here. Any cycles in the tail section will not be added to the wavetable. Any pitch points in this area will also be ignored. You might recall that in basic mode, with complex waveforms, the number of cycles was being reduced. Control this using the maximum cycles control. Click the arrow to choose the number of cycles. You can also select the text and type in a number. Sometimes you only want one cycle per sound. In that case, restrict the cycle count to 1 and choose loudest cycle. Next is the attack section. Most modes will automatically create an attack. You can turn this off and it will delete the attack and make sure it doesn't automatically get generated again when changing cycle or body algorithms. The wavetable body starts at the first point that two cycles match each other. The attack will end at this point. You can change the threshold here. If you pull it down, then the attack will become shorter. You can manually select the attack. Click the Edit button and drag the graph to select your attack. Attacks are limited to a few hundred milliseconds in length. In advanced mode, the pitch curve has a button to smooth the curve. You can click this multiple times. If you don't like the smoothing, you can reset it back to the original value using this button. The amp curve section controls the volume of the sound over time. For most sounds, you'd leave this active. If you want all of your cycles to output at full volume, you can disable the amp curve. One of the best features of Ultra is that you can import multiple sounds into the note velocity map. And the engine will create a blend of the surrounding sounds during playback. To do this, select multiple files or drag them in. On the file split page, you'll see them in this list on the left. Adjust the noise threshold if required and move on to the next sound. Click Process All if you're happy with the threshold. You can also import files that have lots of notes separated by silence. It will detect that there are multiple sections and split them into different sounds to import. When you have multiple sounds, the Import Settings page has a list on the left. It detects the settings for the first sound. The process is to make any adjustments and then click Next. Whatever settings you had chosen for the first sound are now applied to the second sound, and so on. You can make further adjustments or hit Process All to apply them to all the sounds. When you import multiple sounds, you end up on this page, which lets you control how they sit in the note velocity map. Here, I've imported 4 sounds, and they've been placed horizontally in the map at the appropriate note and vertically with a velocity that matches how loud each sound was. When you play notes in between the sounds in the map, the engine will create a hybrid sound on the fly, crossfading between the surrounding wavetable cycles, pitch curves, amp curves, and volumes. If you play outside of the range of the sounds in the map, it will play the closest sound only. The velocity section controls where the sounds are placed. Scale velocity will fill the entire range, with the quietest sound being placed at velocity 1 and the loudest at 127. This means that you're much more likely to get a crossfaded sound. Evenly distribute will spread sounds vertically when there are multiple sounds per note. If there's only one sound on the note, it will be placed in the center. You can also leave the sounds where they were originally placed. The next section controls playback volume. Each sound has a volume parameter, which is set based on the original volume of the WAV file. If you've imported a range of quiet and loud sounds, you'll probably want to preserve the playback volume so that the quiet sounds remain quiet. Scale volumes will set the loudest sound to 100% and increase the others while preserving the overall balance between sounds. You can set all the volumes to the maximum 100%, or you can leave all the volumes as they are. This is a good option if you're planning on importing more sounds into the map and want to adjust them all at the same time. When the import is complete, you can see the individual playback volumes on the Sound Edit page, and also in the Map Edit page. There are similar functions here to adjust the volumes and velocities after the import. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Ultra's automatic import engine. Next up, I'll be making a video about the manual import and the new Wavetable import. Keep an eye out for those, download the free trial at ultra.audio, and thanks for watching.